Let's go! Our guy finally had a rough game, but a little bit later, you're going to see, are we in the middle of a Kliff Kingsbury meltdown? Should you be worried? Ugh. And obviously, this game started off in Washington's favor, right? Philadelphia missed a field goal that you expect Elliott to make. In fact, he made a few special teams mistakes. And it starts off really well, this drive here, with a swing pass to Austin Ekeler for a huge, huge gain. And then eventually, you see Brian Robinson do what he does best, right? Nice little zone handoff play here to the right side. A really good backside cut. And you also got Jalen Carter over penetrating up the field, and B-Rob's able to run through Zach Bond's tackle. And this was basically the best drive of the night for the Commanders outside of the 2-minute drive at the end. And eventually B-Rob would score. So we get to hear they ran a very nice play to Robinson in the flat, and we get to this 3rd and 4, and guess what? The Eagles are in quarters coverage, and what they are running here is a smash concept. You're running a corner here and a comeback here on Quinn Mitchell, who was sensational for Philly. We'll talk a little bit more about him earlier, or a little bit later, and you'll see that Mitchell was carrying with this vertical, and guess what? Jayden sees that it was quarters, and he's able to work out here to Zach Ertz for a nice first down. Okay, so this was the biggest play of the first half in a negative way for Washington. If Austin Ekeler catches this pass, he might be able to pick up the first down, but at the very least, he's able to catch it and make it a manageable 4th or a really long field goal. Instead, you have to punt. Get to the first drive of the 3rd quarter, little play action slip, and the throws to the running backs were really efficient plays for the Commanders in the early portions of this game. And Ekeler is able to cut back here on Zach Bond, who was just in a blender all night from Ekeler, and he picks up a really nice chunk of yards. So let's get to one of the many red zone issues for the Commanders in this game. So what they're trying to do is run a Jayden Daniels counter to the left, and you'll see that it just gets blown up. The left guard and the right guard and the right tackle pulling to the left side. Eagles did something that they've shown quite a lot of this year when they're playing a lot of these counter and outside run teams. They'll just put 5 or sometimes even 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. Now, it's dangerous because if you're able to get through this first wave, it might be pay dirt, but it's just too many guys to block. Okay, 76 can't get out here on Graham. The backside end's able to crash down, and it's just too many guys to block, and Jayden takes a big hit. All right, 3rd and 4, and the Commanders run mesh, which is basically what every team runs on 3rd and medium. Okay, so you run a little orbit motion right here, and the mesh is shallow drag here, and then you have a hook behind it. The problem here is the spacing, okay? The way I understand this version of mesh, if it is mesh rail, I would prefer Austin Ekeler to be running a go instead of an angle route into the shallow drag that Terry McLaurin is running, okay? And I think that's where everybody gets confused, all right? It looks like Jayden is trying to throw this football to Austin Ekeler, and what I think actually happened here is Ekeler freelanced this, okay? He would have to be asked about this, okay? You can see that it looks like it could potentially be a go, but he sees that the leverage of this linebacker is on the 2 of the 20, so he decides to cut in, and this could have been thrown right here, okay? But Jayden obviously is a very risk-averse quarterback, and he sees the safety, and normally, if it is man-to-man and you're running mesh, what you want to do is exactly what Jayden is doing. Back up, and allow the shallow drag to have more room to create space right here. But the problem is because Austin Ekeler ran an angle route, he is right there in between. He's right there in front of Terry McLaurin, and McLaurin stops because he's thinking that the ball is actually being thrown to Ekeler. So the spacing here is just off, and you have to kick a field goal. Okay, let's get to the next drive. Lots of counter GTs, and they just couldn't block Jalen Carter. Okay, for counter GT to work, Biotish has to get a really good seal on this DT, and Jalen Carter's just too good. Okay, man, Jalen Carter versus Jayden Daniels. In college, it was a tough matchup, and now it's a tough matchup. And the Eagles' DTs just dominated the Commanders right up the middle here, and it was just too much all night. So now we get to this third and medium, and I'm interested to see what actually happens here on this third and medium, okay? So Jayden gets his own indicator with this motion. More than likely, it's going to be zone, and it is. It's split field coverage. They're playing cover 2 over here and cover 4 over here. So it looks like it's a cover 6, okay? And, yeah, I don't really know why he got off of this right here to Zach Ertz, but he did, and it didn't really matter. I mean, well, it did matter. If you hit this right here, it's a first down. But, you know, they made plays. I mean, they honestly just stepped up and made plays, and Jayden gets sacked right there. It looks like he did eventually have Oz over the middle right here as well. But, I mean, there's nothing you could do outside of playing just super, super, super quick when your protection's breaking down. All right, 2nd and 10, and Jayden, what a freaking throw this was right here, okay? Running outs with the outside receivers, and they're running goes with the tight ends, and you've got to play quick in this spot. And look at this throw from Jayden. Bang, hits him on that back shoulder so he could turn away from the linebacker, and you get a nice explosive. Good stuff. Now you get a play action right here. Jayden Daniels rolling out to the right side, and look at this throw here to Terry McLaurin. Man, it's really good stuff from Jayden. Rolling out. Graham is in his face, and look at this ball location. Bang, away from the DB, first down, and this was Terry's first catch of the game. Okay, so now we get to where the Eagles really fell apart. I'd say the Eagles, the Commanders. So you get a really good first down call, and you get a wide open blocking tight end for what should have been a first down. So you get a little bit of a bad spot here. Okay, unless he did step out right there. Either way, it becomes 2nd and short. Now, before we get to this next set of downs, don't forget every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central, we will do a Commanders live stream. Yes, live show for Washington Commanders, and we get to the 2nd and 1. So normally on 2nd and 1s, I like to take deep shots. But you see that the Eagles are in a too high shell, and you have a tight end here. So, look, you have them out-gapped. You should be able to run on this front. But they do bring a linebacker in, which changes this front, and this is what the Eagles do. They like to put 5 guys on the line of scrimmage, and you'll see on this run to the left that you feel pretty good about it until Jalen Carter on the backside has a nice swim move. Brian Robinson doesn't like this hole. I would have preferred B-Rod to just bang it up in there. Maybe you run and then you can get through here. But he decides to cut it backside, and Jalen Carter's just right there. Okay? So you actually lost a yard here, and it sets up 3rd and 1. Okay, worst play call of the night from Kliff. 3rd and 1. I don't know why, if your short yardage stuff hasn't been working, why you decide to bring in your best receiver to tighten the formation here. And another thing about 3rd and 1s in particular is why I don't like running on short yardage is your offensive linemen are less likely to get a good get off because they don't want a false start penalty to make it 3rd and 6, right? It's one of those things where you hadn't been blocking them well this half at all, and you tried again on this 3rd and 1, and it's just crammed in. And that's what happens if you tighten these formations is guys are just able to fly in off the edge and make plays. Okay? I just don't like it. I don't. And then we get to the 4th down decision. Now, I would be lying to you if I wasn't a pro go for it guy. I said at the end of the Bears game that they should have gone for it on that 4th and medium. So I don't mind the decision to go for it here on 4th and 2. Once again, the score is 12-10, but I do think with your short yardage play not doing all that well, your offense not playing well either, and their field goal kicker missing an extra point and 2 other field goals, I understand kicking it here as well. So I'm not just pro analytics guy, analytics, because the analytics does say on most models to go for it. But I do think in this situation, kicking the field goal also makes sense. So we get an absolute disaster here. Quarterback center exchange is not good. And Jalen Carter's right there. He's got it blown up. We didn't even know what play was supposed to even be run. So now Jayden has to go pick this up. And the problem here is Noah Brown has a chance to make this block. He's not able to. I mean, he's never making that block anyway. And now Jayden has to pick this up, and he's never getting there. Just a disaster all around. All right, so now we get to the game sealer. And look, it's just not a good throw by Jayden. You get I do want to point this out. You finally get your guard blocking Jalen Carter. I want you to finish. Watch this. Bang. Where was this all game? You love to see that, but it's a little too late, okay? Okay, so this is a flood concept, and you're running a vertical, and Noah Brown's running a deep out, and Austin Eckler is the flat of this flood. So you get the pre-snap motion, and you're hoping Terry McLaurin carries both this safety and this corner, and you're running a flood right here. And Jayden is just trusting this play design to get open behind it. Okay, so you can see the vertical being run by Terry McLaurin. The problem is the safety never ran with Terry. So Jayden was probably thinking pre-snap in this spot, I know for sure that this safety is going to be running with Terry McLaurin the entire time. But no, he breaks in on the flood right here, and he just picks it off, okay? And he's just sitting there waiting on it. Obviously, in this spot, you're down by 9. You still have plenty of time left, 4:50 left to go in the game. You just want to hit this. I mean, this had been working all night. And as a quarterback in the back of your mind, you've been thinking, hey, when am I going to actually start throwing to my receivers? They're just making me throw to my running backs. You just got to keep throwing to your running backs, right? Jayden never makes this mistake, though. It is important to point out the TCU left tackle had a rough go at it. He got beat here again. It's not the worst in the world, but still. And one way you could look at it is take a look at the stripe of Jayden's helmet. Okay, it looks like he's looking at Terry at first, but he's just staring down this out right here the entire time. And good safeties are just going to be able to come in and pick that off. So, what do we make of this game? Is it time to be worried just a little bit about Washington now that they've had 2 consecutive losses in the state of Philadelphia? Well, let's first start with one simple truth. The major difference between these 2 quarterbacks, because Jalen Hurts also had an extremely brutal game, was the offensive lines, right? You could see, and by the way, Brett Coleman, I love Brett Coleman. He had a really good breakdown on Lane Johnson. The major difference is the Eagles have some of the best offensive linemen in the NFL, and the Commanders do not. And they were just destroyed in this game, okay? The second thing is while Zach Ertz played obviously very inspired football going up against his former team, this wasn't the best game from the Commanders' skill guys either. And this also wasn't the best game from Jayden. And let's be honest, for a rookie quarterback, knowing what we've seen with all the other rookie quarterbacks, not only this year, but just forever, the fact that we are this deep, I mean, this is game 11. This is his first ever bad NFL game. Like, really think about it. First ever bad one. So this is still a historic rookie campaign from Jayden Daniels. Also keep this in mind. First game being played on 4 days rest. First game versus the Eagles. First game in chilly weather, maybe ever for Jayden Daniels. I mean, think about it. Played in California, LSU, Arizona. Rarely would he play. And it wasn't frigid, but it was cool, all right? It whatever the case may be, this wasn't really something that shocked me at all. I thought Jayden would play better, but this Eagles defense is probably the best in the NFC right now. I do want to share these Kliff Kingsbury stats, right? People that have followed him and covered him for a while know that he tends to fall off a cliff, no pun intended, when the season moves on. I mean, this has always followed him everywhere he goes, and it is something, right? And look, could it be that defenses kind of figure out what he's trying to do? Maybe so. But I think Jayden will be able to overcome it. If you're to win one of these 2 games in this 4-day stretch, you probably would have picked that the Commanders would have beaten Pittsburgh. And, well, they got cheated in that game. Bang! If you want to know how, it's floating in your face right now, okay? Jayden, still, to me, the MVP of the NFC. It is! Power Hour NFL. Boom! And tonight we are doing Gumbo. Let's go.